When it comes to dealing with the grief of lost loved ones, you can look back, but you can't go back. All of Us Strangers was written and directed by Andrew Haig, who did The Northwater and Lean on Pete. When you're not strong, Pete will be your friend. Pete will help you carry on. Lean on Pete. And was based on a novel by Taichi Yamada. That's a deep cut for New Japan Pro Wrestling fans that happen to be watching this, and thank you very much for tuning in. This centers around Andrew Scott, who's Adam, a novelist that is dealing with basically feeling lonely. I mean, it's not the Order of the Lonely Heart. It's none of that stuff. He just feels lonely because he's in a high-rise apartment. There aren't a lot of people around, and he's toiling away writing, his latest, story. Basically, he does writing for television and screenplays and stuff like that, but he decides, I'm going to write something that's really, really detailed and really personal. At least that's kind of the idea. We really just get a brief, sample, a scotch of what he's writing, but obviously he is very good at what he's doing because this is in London, where he's in a beautiful high-rise apartment that really is all modernized and great and everything, and it's a very, very tall building. It would make me goddamn nervous just looking at it. It made me nervous looking at it in the movie. I'd be like, no, I don't want to be up in a high-rise apartment like that, and also, what the fuck am I doing in London? Nevertheless, back to All of Us Strangers. Adam happens to meet Henry, not the steel driving man, but played by Paul Mescal, who was in After Sun. And I've heard After Sun is incredibly sad. Very, very sad. I need to check that out at some point. And Foe. And by the way, Andrew Scott was also in Spectre and Victor Frankenstein. Remember that Frankenstein movie that had James McAvoy and really didn't do all that well? Yeah, he was in that. He's been in a lot of good stuff. That being said, it centers around these two particular people, where Adam meets Henry through a chance meeting. They happen to seemingly almost be the only two people that are tenants in this brand new high-rise apartment. And during getting to know each other, also, Adam happens to travel to his childhood home, where he finds his parents the same as they were the day they died. Yeah, it sounds a little mind-bendy, a little twisty, a little time travel-y and all that stuff, and consider, if you will. Are we going to get Rod Serling here? No, Rod Serling has unfortunately been dead since the late 1960s, the early 1970s. That being said, this does have a little Twilight Zone feel about it, but we see Adam talking to his parents as a grown-up, and talking to them the day that they died, because he lost them when he was 11, he was 11, 12 years old. Around that, and during his formative years, he had people there for him, but he really needed his parents, good or bad, however they raised him. Those are his parents. That was the woman that gave birth to him. That was the father that, planted his seed in the mother. The mother, played by Claire Foy, by the way, who is terrific. The father, Jamie Bell, from Billy Elliot. Yes, the guy from Billy Elliot is in this. And really, same haircut. It's actually kind of mind-blowing. And Jumper. Who remembers Jumper? So that being said, he talks to his parents and tells them about his life. And he's visiting that house during this. And then he's also forming a relationship with Henry. And I'm not going to get into too many other spoilers other than that, but I drove 40 fucking miles to see this. I drove during rush hour traffic into North Seattle, basically. For anybody that knows about that on a Saturday, any Washingtonians, that's tough. I was fortunate. I managed to get there just as the previews were starting, sat down, had my reserved seat, because I wanted to see this. I heard a lot of really good things about it. And it was released at film festivals and okay, if this movie doesn't fucking make you cry, I don't know what will. Those who have lost a parent, or those who have lost somebody that raised them, grandparents, siblings, foster parents to raise you like they were your own kid. That's really what it's about. It's about him trying to deal with the grief of his past and also maybe open up to somebody that seemingly, sees that he needs help and maybe needs help too. It's a really beautiful story. I didn't expect to cry during this. I really didn't. I was very, very surprised by that. Andrew Scott was tremendous in this. Paul Mescal was great as well. The parents are great. Granted, we really don't get much else in the way of, main talking parts. We do get Carter John Grant, who was young Adam. I'm trying to entertain myself here. But it is well told. Yes, okay, the concept is a little far-fetched, but it's also about dealing with grief, and you need to tell him. You need to tell the people that you love them. Because you don't do that, you never know what's going to happen. Yeah, it would be tough for any child to deal with that. And it really tells it in a good way. A great way, in fact. It is one of the best movies of the year. I mean, since it didn't get any kind of wide release until now, it's going to be on my favorite movies of 2024 list, even though it got released late in 2023. And yeah, I was actually hoping that this would come out just at the end of 2023 to see if it was on, see if it was really as good. The Rotten Tomatoes the scores on IMDb and our sites are great. They're great. Really, really up, and Andrew deserves every bit of credit for how he told the story and adapting the Taichi Yamada story. And it's I'm going to get into spoilers here in a bit, but I'm just going to say, if this is in your area, or even if you got to drive a few miles out, check it out. I'm not saying that the story is the most wholly original thing ever. There's been stories that have been like this, dealing with grief, and there's a little caveat of, stuff that gets revealed about how the parents would have handled maybe an adult him, finding out more about him. It's great shit. Andrew Scott deserves praise, so does Paul. The parents as well, and it's really good. I'm going to get into spoilers, by the way, so that's your warning right there. Yeah, it'll make you upset. Made me upset several times. 3, 2, 1, spoilers. So, this, basically in the beginning, there was rap, as our Lord and Savior Dr. Dre once said. And Andrew, it turns out Andrew's gay, obviously, since he develops a relationship with Henry, and Henry happens to be a gentleman. And Paul does play this role perfectly. We find out a little more about Paul. Paul doesn't have the best relationship with his parents since they're in East London, and Adam's mother was raised Catholic, obviously, through chance meetings, and he doesn't understand how the hell this happened. Now, there are a few ways to, look at this. He's dealing with grief, and he's having a psychotic break because they constantly refer, or he's having a sickness, and he's down with the sickness. He's fucking it up. He's down with the sickness because they keep referencing the fact that he has a fever. And the only prescription is more time with his parents. His parents are fully aware, by the way, that they're dead. And that this is just their way of finding out more about him, because they never got to be there for... Trying. This one's Zone of Interest made me cry more than any movies I've seen in a while. Well, Origin 2 to an extent. Nevertheless... Once the mother finds out that he's gay, because he meets his parents first, he's so goddamn surprised, like, what the hell's going on here? And Henry tries to, offer him a drink and stuff like that and come into his apartment. That doesn't work at first because he has a hard time letting people in. That was because of how Adam was teased at school by boys and girls because he was gay. He knew early on. The mother doesn't take to it all that well because she was raised Catholic. Anybody knows anybody that was raised Catholic, heavy Catholic, sometimes it can be hard to take that kind of stuff because the stuff that is drilled into your head. I'm not saying that they're evil. I'm not saying that. But there are people that let that stuff poison them. Eventually, the parents come around. There's a lot of great scenes. I can't really discuss that in full detail. But there's a lot of stuff between. To think the guy from Billy Elliot, the kid from Billy Elliot, delivers such a power-packed performance. I haven't seen Billy Elliot in so long. But Adam keeps visiting his parents. Sometimes his mom will be there, sometimes his dad will be there. And there's references to, love it now because you don't know when this is going to last. Time is fleeting, kids. Remember that. Or that's Life is Fleeting. I'm sorry, that was from a riff track. I'm trying to entertain myself here. But he does let Henry in, literally and figuratively. They do have a point where they have a rave, or they're at a rave. They take some drugs, which probably was not the smartest move. And Adam's having these episodes where he's having these dreams. Now, a couple theories. One, like I said, Adam's having this psychotic break, or is maybe having a fever and he's in a hospital and he's actually dealing with the last fleeting memories of his life. Because we don't see him. We see plenty of extras. He only interacts with Henry and his parents. So you have to wonder if these were the last moments of his life. Henry has his own stuff where he's dealing with, his parents not kind of accepting he's gay, but kind of not really. And he, and he lives in a floor further up, and we're always in Adam's apartment. We're never in Henry's apartment. More on that in a bit. He then kind of relives the time where he lost his parents. I believe it was Christmas night or soon after. I'm trying to remember. I think it was around the holidays. That much I can narrow down. And they were both drinking. They skated on some black ice and crashed. And actually, the dad died instantly. The mother lost an eye. Ow, my eye. I'm not supposed to get windshield in it. And was in the hospital for a few days. Woke up just before she died. Kind of woke up out of a coma and then died. And couldn't see. Or cloudy, based on like the one eye. And this purpose. Should have composed myself here before this, sorry. But they're at this restaurant, this great restaurant that they used to be, this family pub, so to speak. I'm sorry to any English friends that happen to be watching this. I'm so sorry. But they're talking, and then the dad freezes up because time is up. Just before this, Adam had tried to bring Henry there, and he could see him through the window, but he couldn't come into the house. That's not how this works. This is just for Adam. And maybe the idea is that Henry is still alive, because there's a few ways to look at it, because it does leave stuff a little ambiguous. But he's talking to his dad. His dad freezes up. And then Claire Foy's like, I can't see you, but I can feel you. And then this is after he kind of had a bit of a break after this rape, doing these drugs, and Henry being there for him. And suddenly, Adam gets back to the apartment, decides to go see Henry in his apartment, and sees, and he senses something's wrong, because he can go right in, and he smells something. Henry had drank himself to death when Adam had not rejected him. He didn't reject him. He didn't have anything against him. He didn't know him. And Adam sees that Henry's body is pretty decomposed and has the empty whatever Japanese whiskey bottle or whatever it was that he was going to share a drink with. So all that stuff's shit in his head, and him trying to compartmentalize this stuff, and it's just freaking gutting? Gutting would be the best word. And then there's Henry wandering around his apartment, knowing what happened. That he's still fresh as far as being a ghost, but he can smell this stuff and everything, and don't worry, we'll go down to my apartment, it'll be great, and this kind of stuff. And basically, Adam is alone. Everybody he loves dies. And I think Adam probably is dead. I'm pretty certain Adam has probably actually been dead. I'm just grasping at straws here because this movie got me a lot, and it leaves a lot of questions. It answers enough of them. That being said, it was A+. It gets a... I'm done before I break down on camera. Great performances. Andrew Scott, Paul Mescal, Jamie Bell, Claire Foy. Yeah. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.